How many of you remember a television variety show in the late 60s, early 70s, Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In? Okay, a lot of you do. Now, I was a kid at the time, but I remember watching it with my mom, and my mom loved it, and so I loved it. And I got the silly jokes, and there was a lot of silly jokes. And there was a character played by Artie Johnson, okay, and who was like this German with a monocle, and after every silly bit, he would turn to the camera and say, "Very interesting, but stupid." Remember that? That was so funny. My mom and I would just laugh, and we loved that line, and we would pull it out, and use it in a variety of different circumstances it seemed to fit. Very interesting, but stupid. So keep that little guy in mind. We're going to come back to him later. So we have been talking here the last few weeks about life energy, right? Life energy, constantly moving, constantly flowing around us, through us, within all of nature. It's that, you can't touch it, you can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't hold it in your hands, but it's there. It's the energy, the life energy that turns a little green bud into a beautiful flower. It turns an acorn into a mighty oak tree. It's that energy that creates, guides, and governs the entire universe and breathes forth its life through and as each one of us. That one life energy. We live, move, and have our being in this life energy. Yeah? And so, because we are thinking conscious beings, because we are co-creators with the divine, we have the power to direct that life energy in our lives. We have the power to direct the life energy. So how do we do that? Well, it's not by forcing it. It's not by, concentrate, like I got to concentrate really hard, focus on, trying to move energy. No, not at all. It's much simpler than that. It's all about attention. Attention is how we direct the flow of life energy. Attention. Have you heard this saying, energy goes where energy flows where attention goes. That's it. Energy flows where attention goes. That's it. So that's what we're talking about today. So the question then is, where's your attention? Where is your attention? And I would suggest your attention goes to what is most interesting. Goes to what is most interesting. Now, there's a lot of interesting things in the world today vying for our attention, right? We live in a very distractible world where our attention is being pulled here, there, and everywhere. 24-hour news channels, it's nothing but breaking news. 24 hours a day, breaking news. And it's all bad, really. If you watch enough of it, and it's enough to make you really mad or really depressed. And then there are so many social media platforms today, I can't keep track. My daughters they know what they are. But they spend a lot of attention, a lot of time kind of, feeding each one, trying to make sure that they're updating each one of these things. It pulls a lot of attention. Now, social media can be a wonderful thing. I love staying in touch with my old friends and my relatives and connecting with other positive-minded people and groups. It's wonderful. It allows us to live stream. We are live streaming today through social media, giving people who wouldn't otherwise have the opportunity to be in spiritual community to be with us today. We love you, live streamers. Mwah. We see you. We appreciate you. We love you. They're with us today. So, And, just like anything, social media has its really great things. It can be used to transform us. And it's also a source of distraction. And there's always a stream of ads that run down the side. Some of them are kind of interesting, pulls our attention. The thing nowadays that, my favorite thing to hate is the online articles. And I seem to be reading more and more online articles. And there's an ad. Like after every other paragraph, there's another ad. And doesn't that drive you crazy? And you can't complete your thought because you get so distracted by these ads. And the ads pull your attention and you go, oh, that's interesting. Do I need that? I think I do need that. And then off you go. And so many things. Gossip is very compelling, can be very interesting, right? Ooh, like, juicy gossip. Did you hear what so-and-so did? Wow, wait till you hear about this. And then suddenly our attention is there. We get interested in that. So what would Artie Johnson say? Very interesting, but stupid. You got it. I love it. I love it. And we live in interesting times. It's interesting what's happening in politics. And we can get kind of caught up in the conversations about how crazy things are. And, well, we have a president who knows how to keep the attention on himself by saying crazy things and doing crazy things all the time. Crazy's interesting. He knows that and absolutely capitalizes on it. And by the way, so did the 24-hour news channels, as my husband's always pointing out. They're always covering the three-ring circus. They love to cover the circus. It pulls in viewers, it keeps viewers, and, the circus is interesting. And it's not just our country that is having the UK. Just like recently elected a prime minister who's playing out the same playbook as Trump, keeping the attention on himself by saying crazy things. I guess crazy is fascinating. Again, Artie Johnson. Very interesting, but stupid. So, while our attention is being pulled into this circus of crazy, it's not going to other things, right? And there's many other things we could be focusing our attention on. So, ultimately, we want to ask the question, what do we really want? What do I really want? If I want more of the same, if I want to sort of, the status quo, it doesn't matter where my attention is. But if I want something better for my life, if I want to explore the highest possibility for myself and learn how to express that highest possibility, if I am interested in doing what I can to make the world a better place, be a positive impact on the world, then I need to put my focus on that. And I need to get really interested in doing what brings that about. More interested in that than the circus or in anything else. So if we are interested in being the best possible people that we can be and helping to make the world a better place, there's two things we really have to keep in mind. And the first one is being interested in and therefore focused on our personal and spiritual growth, because that's where all positive change starts, in here. And the second thing is we want to get more interested in the solutions rather than the problems. More interested in the solutions rather than the problems. So let's take that first point first, talk about that. So, personal and spiritual growth Doesn't just kind of happen on its own. We have to sort of focus on it, make a commitment to it. It's easier to make a commitment to something that we're interested in, right? So how do we make it interesting? How do we keep it interesting? How do we keep something like meditation that is pretty essential to our spiritual growth, but a lot of people say, you know, it's so boring, I'm just sitting there waiting for what? Some big moment of revelation? I don't know. When's it coming? People ask me all the time, Victoria, how do you sit in the silence for an hour every day? And here's my answer. Because I am extremely interested in experiencing my oneness with the One. I am extremely interested in experiencing the truth of my being, that I'm an expression of love. I'm interested in feeling and experiencing peace. I am interested in opening my heart and experiencing love. I am much more interested in that than sitting around talking about it. And I'm much more interested in that than the circus. So, well, while we're talking about it. So while I'm interested in going for a hike in the woods and having brunch with friends or doing something else on a beautiful Sunday morning like today, I am more interested in being in spiritual community. I'm interested in being here with you guys around positive-minded, open-hearted people where we all come together and support each other in expressing the best that is within us. I am more interested in doing that first. Then I can go have brunch, you know, or go for a bike ride or something. So do you see what I'm saying? We want to make our spiritual practice as interesting as possible and to keep it interesting so that we keep doing it. You know, if we're interested in making a change, a positive difference for ourselves and in our lives, otherwise why bother? But I think all of you here, correct me if I'm wrong, I think all of you here have a deep yearning to experience oneness, to really explore the highest possibility for yourself and to learn how to experience that highest possibility. Am I right? Yes. Yeah, I thought so. So how do we make our spiritual practice the most interesting thing? All right. I think one of the things, part of it, probably a big part of it, is constantly reminding ourselves, coming back to the awareness of what we're really doing and why it matters. Every time we engage in spiritual practice, it's like we're peeling a layer of the onion. We're peeling another layer, getting closer to our pure core. Every time we meditate or do affirmative prayer or do Reiki or walk sacred spaces or work with a shaman or dances for universe, whatever it is, any kind of spiritual ritual, every time we do that, we are opening ourselves further to experience our essence. Our essence. And the more we experience our essence, the more that begins to show up in our daily life. The more that life energy is directed into our lives, the more the qualities of that life energy, which love, peace, joy, fulfillment, abundance, well-being, wisdom, creativity, all of those qualities. Divine guidance. What could be more interesting than that, right? What could be more interesting than that? And then, as we do that, we can get interested in watching how it shows up in our lives. Watching all the synchronicity, how interesting it is. When we really look at it, when we're paying attention to the synchronous events that happen in our lives, it's interesting. It's interesting to see how these qualities begin to show up in various areas of our lives. So that keeps us interested. Another way we can do it is choose to hang out with other people who make this a priority, who are interested in spiritual growth. That sort of helps give us a framework, right? Another thing we can do is maybe experiment with different ways of experiencing spirit. You know, particularly if our practice has gotten a little stale or something, maybe try adding something. Rather than meditating by ourselves, maybe we can meditate in a group. Ooh, that's a whole different experience, meditating in a group. Lorraine can tell you. She does, you know, every Monday here is group meditation. Did you guys know that? You can join, and the energy that's generated in that is so wonderful, so beautiful. And, you know, there's so many other things that are going on here that you can kind of plug into and experience a different way of experiencing spirit. Not that we want to, I'm not advocating jumping from one thing to the next, because then you're sort of missing the whole idea. But maybe opening up and trying a little something new and seeing if that keeps me interested in doing this on a regular basis. All right, so now the second part of this, right, is we want to be more interested in the solutions rather than the problems. Not that we want to ignore the problem. You know, we need to look at what is, and see what we're facing, both on an individual level or more globally, the world, the planet. But we don't want to wallow in the problem. That's what the 24-hour news channels do. So the viewers are left kind of hopeless. We want to come back to the idea and get interested in the solution. I believe there's a solution to every problem that we have created for ourselves. That's why I was interested in watching the debates this week, the second round of debates. It's all about solutions. They're all talking about solutions, right? Now, they weren't agreeing with each other on what solution's best, but I think that's good. That's a healthy debate. We argue the merits of these things, and we find which one is the best possible solution. And then we get interested in that solution, and we get interested in implementing that solution. And we get interested in helping other people to get interested in implementing the solution. I know that there is a solution to this gun violence. I know there's a solution. There's got to be. We need to get interested in what that is. We need to get interested in embracing these young individuals with our love before they get radicalized. We need to get more interested in holding hands rather than holding guns. There is a solution here. We want to get interested in it. There's interesting solutions that are happening with global warming, with climate change. Really interesting solutions that are beginning to emerge that I'm hearing about. I mean, in addition to the interesting ways that we are finding a way off of fossil fuels, which is necessary, there are some high-tech solutions that are being experimented with. One of them I've heard recently is this thing called sequestration. Have you heard that? It's about capturing the CO2 that's in the atmosphere and gathering it and putting it way down underground. Yeah, I know. And there's actually a company right now in Canada that is taking that one step further. They are sucking the CO2 out of the atmosphere and repurposing it. They're creating a clean fuel out of this gunk that we don't want. A clean fuel. So it's like carbon neutral fuel for our automobiles and airplanes and everything. Isn't that amazing? They actually have a demonstration plant right now in British Columbia where they're sucking 1 ton of CO2 out of the air every day. Now, if we can get interested in solutions like this, enough of us get interested in it, we can find the funding and the resources to make this happen on a global level. I know we can. And then on an individual level, we get interested in what we can do individually, in our own lives to be more kind to our environment. And so as part of that, we're adopting this thing called Earth Care. It's an Earth Care initiative that Unity Center of Peace is adopting, and you're going to hear more about it in the coming weeks and the coming months. And as part of that, one of the first things that we're doing is in the e-news, this is Katja's wonderful idea, is to put a tip of the week in the e-news, in a little box at the end of the e-news that gives you a tip on something that you can do, that's in your power to do. An easy thing to do to help reduce your carbon footprint. And you can submit one. I'm sure many of you have ideas about how you can do that, right? Submit it to Jean in the office, and she'll put it in there. So get interested in reading the e-news, get interested in looking at that tip, and get interested in applying it to your life and implementing it. So, energy flows where attention goes. Where is our attention? How can we get interested in doing those things that make it possible to be centered, to have the experience of spirit, to have the experience of oneness, to have the experience of being a powerful expression of the divine? How do we stay interested in that, more interested in that than the other extraneous stuff up here? How do we get interested in the solutions and implementing those solutions? That's how we're going to make a difference for ourselves and for the world. That's how we make positive change. And that's how we direct the flow of energy that's constantly moving through us. That's how we direct it. So, maybe we can affirm this together. If you will affirm after me, I am interested in creating positive change. I am interested in creating positive change. I am therefore directing life energy. Directing life energy in miraculous ways in my life and in the world. In miraculous ways in my life and in the world. Yes, you are. And so it is.